Okay, let's talk about Marcus Rashford, because obviously he's lacking goals. He had a really good season last season, but this season there's a couple of problems. Obviously lack of goals, but also when you look at his stats defensively, he's not helping out. All his numbers are down, whether it's sort of tackles, interceptions, possession in the final third, in the opposition's final third. He just doesn't seem to be the same player. What do you put that down to?
Well, I think no one was questioning it last year because Marcus was simply outstanding. His goal return was beyond belief. I think now that's being questioned because he's not in such a rich vein. But in some ways, if I've got Marcus Rashford in my team, I'm not going to be really looking at the defensive side of it. Has he got to do that? Phil well knows as a fullback. Of course he has. He's got to help out and double back, and he should be doing it. So he has to address it. Nonetheless, it's the offensive side that Marcus, I think, just needs to sharpen up. And he looks like he's a bit jaded, and you've seen with the injuries at United, it was a very big game last year. So many games, then they play a load of games pre-season and some loads of injuries. He maybe is just a little bit under par.
The sort of thing that Ten Hag should be calling out publicly. Do you think he's having a quiet word with him about it?
I think he just let Marcus get on with his work, get on with his job. I think obviously there's a lot of expectation on him to deliver week in, week out. You're at a massive football club, and you're probably the best player at the club. So the expectation's always going to be there. What I would say about Marcus is obviously he started the first 3-4 Premier League games as a 9. I don't particularly think that's his strongest position. I think playing out on the left is his preferred position. And you could tell that his body language weren't quite right in them games, and you could tell he was crying out to get back on the left. And I think that sort of affected his performance early in the season. But listen, goals change confidence. You scored a few goals, you're back in good form, and I'm sure today it's a perfect time for him to get back to his best.
It's a good point. It's a totally different game when you're playing with your back to goal. You were talking about Bruno making runs from the right, which he did very well. Marcus Rashford makes some outstanding runs from wide areas. He's really, really good at it. And as a result of that, when defenders are watching elsewhere on the pitch, it really is difficult to mark, as Phil will tell you. So for me, I agree with Phil. He's definitely a wide forward.
Does his positioning and his decision-making worry you? And is that a confidence thing? Like taking shots when perhaps he should pass, and vice versa?
Well, when you get 28 goals like he did last year, I mean, he hits. There's very few people in the whole of the Premier League hit a purer ball as he does. When he hits it, it does not get stopped. So he's got great confidence in it. You don't want to stop him doing that, but also he needs to understand if there's players in the way, a little slide ball would be much more, productive for the team. But I think Marcus Rashford, I think Phil's right. There's an awful lot of expectation, and I've got to say, he delivers most seasons, and I'm sure by the end of the season he will have done again.
Looking at this combination, obviously, with Bruno, with Palestri, with Højlund up front, I mean, I guess each week they're trying a different thing because Ten Hag's just not able to get a settled 11. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, of course, listen, it's expansive. Obviously, they're at home. They're expected to take the game to Palace today, but I probably expected a similar team to last week. I really enjoyed watching Bruno off the right. I think he makes some phenomenal runs. I think he was really clever in his play. Højlund just finding his feet. He's missed it's like you missed a lot of pre-season or you missed a full pre-season. You're chasing your tail a little bit. So we're starting to see signs from Højlund up top now that he's getting that sharpness back. And then it's nice to see. Obviously we've got a 9 and Rashford can be back over on the left. So I'd expected to see the team that started at Burnley, but he's obviously made a few changes and brought young Palestri in, Mount's back in, and these are good players and players what you think is enough to beat Palace at home.
I think he's got goals in the team. I think he thinks, listen, if you play Mason Mount enough, he'll get you goals. He'll get you 10, 12 goals a season from midfield. I think Palestri will get you goals. So Marcus Rashford surely will. Højlund will without doubt get you goals. All of a sudden now, one holder and a lot of goal scorers. I think Ten Hag knows Man United need to score more goals, and that's part of it. It'd be interesting if Palace can stop them today, particularly with this great surface.
It's just a bit of discipline in there as well, Ian. Obviously the opening games of the season look wide open in midfield, and it's a case of obviously Mount finding that balance where he's obviously attacking, but obviously he needs to do his duties defensively as well. So it's a big day for him.
Such an important game for Mount, because the talent he's got is undoubted. But going forward, what Phil's talking about is when he breaks forward, it leaves such a hole for Casemiro to cover, and that's what Phil's talking about. He's thinking someone alongside it. I don't think he will. I think you'll find Mount breaking forward, and as a result, it will be quite an open game.
We saw, obviously, it was 3-0 on, what was it, Tuesday night. What are you going for today? It sounds like you think it's going to be a comfortable win for Manchester United. Both of you, start with you, Phil.
I would like to think so. Yeah, I think they built a little bit of momentum from last Saturday and obviously Tuesday night in the cup competition. But you know, it's never a given in the Premier League. You know, it's the best league in the world. And regardless of the opponents, you have to come out and you have to prepare to do the hard work, roll your sleeves up and have a go. But I fully expect Man United to win at home today, and you know, I'm really looking forward to it.